Welcome back, everyone, to episode 133 of the Popcorn Podcast. I'm Tommy, that's Ryan, and our guest this week is most known for his role as Winston in Ghostbusters, or in The Crow, or in Oz, and he is Ernie Hudson. We are very excited to have him on the show and ask him some of our biggest questions for him. So, Ernie, how you doing?
I'm great. It's great to talk to you guys. You both look like you're ready to take it on, so I'm good. Life is good.
Awesome. Good to
Good.
hear.
And of course, you had Ghostbusters Frozen Empire come out just, what was that, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
And we both got to see him. We both had such a great time seeing you and the original cast come back and actually get to do some Ghostbusting. It was very exciting. But I do have a bone to pick with you.
Sure.
Why'd you have to go walk on the red carpet and embarrass us young 20-year-olds looking all muscular like that? That's not fair, man.
Honestly, there has been absolutely nothing much that has changed in my physicality over the past however long I've been doing this. Nobody ever noticed. Whenever I did a show called Oz, every guy on the show had to take his shirt off except me. I'm always in a suit and tie. And normally when I do those red carpet things, I have a jacket on. I had a t-shirt, but I had a jacket. But the jacket had a smudge on it. So I took the jacket off, not intending. I mean, I wasn't posing or anything. But and then somehow people noticed. So I thought it's really funny after all these years, somebody noticed that I have arms, but they've been there all the time. It's just,
The fact that you weren't posing kind of makes me feel even worse. I kind of wish you were flexing or something. Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
You guys are at a great time in your life. When you get to be my age, and you sort of have to think about certain realities, and part of that is just making sure that you don't do a lot. I don't have any strenuous exercise program, but as you get older, you really need to be conscious of doing a little bit. A little bit better than yesterday. You're not going to do everything, but you really can't be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. So you mentioned being on Oz, the TV show. You've done plenty of other TV shows like Family Business and the new Quantum Leap reboot. Is there a difference between doing television and movies? Is there kind of like a big difference between those two, going back and forth?
Well, yeah, I think so. Well, the biggest difference is with a television show like, say, Family Business or Quantum Leap. You have like 7-8 days for the episode, so you have a script and you got to get it done. So good, bad, or otherwise, we gotta do today's work and be done with it. Usually on a film, you have a little more time. You can kind of work with your fellow actors. You got time to discuss it with the director. There's just a little bit more time to sort of be involved and connect in relationships. You can be on a television show and they go, "Oh, hello, this is Amanda. She's your wife." And I'm like, "Oh, I just met Amanda. So now we got to somehow be like we're in love and we have this lifetime of a relationship." So with television, you just don't have the time. And so as an actor, you have to sort of do your homework, because once you get on the set, there is no time. So in that sense, it's just the movies is more of a process where you get a little bit more time to work through some things and think about something. And when you do theater, then you got 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks of just rehearsing back and forth over and over to just know the reality of this universe that you're playing in. You don't have that time on film or TV, but TV even less.
Okay. Interesting. Good question. So I want to take you back a little bit, all the way back to your first role in Leadbelly as Archie, and going
Right.
all the way back to that. What was it like finally getting to being your first official role? Like, what was that time like?
Yeah, it was. Well, I had spent a year at Yale, and I was having some family issues, whatever. I came out to LA to do a play, and I somehow landed this role in this movie with Gordon Parks, who was, really like, one of the top tier directors of his time. And so, yeah, then I had to make the choice of going and doing this movie in Texas or going back to Yale. And I figured, I'd much rather do the work than study the work. So I took this role, but it was kind of a dream. It was one of those things. I think when I spent a lot of years doing theater, I did some little local television stuff, but to be in a movie with, I think it was Paramount Studios, this was kind of a dream come true. Even though I look at it, the part wasn't that big, but it was an important role. And I got to spend, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks shooting on location. And it was just one of those great experience. I was really over excited. I think I probably did some things I would think twice about. They had me driving a team of horses, and I was so excited. I stood up in the seat of the carriage while these horses just going full blast. And I did some stunt stuff that I shouldn't have done. Some little bit dangerous stuff, kind of threw my back out, which was a surprise to me. But I think I was just, it was like the beginning of a dream come true. And Gordon was a great director. I learned a lot. We always learn when you're working. If you're really there to bring your best work, then things will come up that you kind of go, oh, okay, I got that. And I had a very intense dance sequence, and it was exhausting. So I on this dance, man, and it's like I just burned out of energy. So I just said stop, cut, and Gordon Parks just went off. I'm the director. You don't say cut. You never say cut. And since that day, I've never said cut on any scene. Even when I know it's bad, I won't say cut. I go okay. But it was a great experience.
Oh, awesome. So was making that jump from theater to film something that you always wanted to do, or was it something that just kind of came about and you just took advantage of it?
Well, I think it was something I wanted to do. Theater is wonderful, but it's very hard to make a good living. You can make a living in theater in the States. Now, in the UK, as I'm sure it's very different in other places. But in the States, it's very hard to make a living doing theater. In fact, a lot of times you end up having to pay. Having to bring your own wardrobe, it's just real. So to be able to get in film, especially film back, that was in 73, maybe 4, somewhere there. So back in those days, the pay was great in film. And so it was where you wanted to be for a lot of reasons. Also, I could do a play and feel like it was a great performance, but if you weren't in the audience that night, nobody ever gets to see it. Mm-hmm. Whereas with film, once it's out there, it's there, I don't want to say forever, but, it's a lot of people get to see it.
Well, yeah, great.
So if we don't ask about Ghostbusters, I know our listeners would freak out. So going from the beginning with Ghostbusters, how'd that all come about, getting to play Winston, getting an audition for the role and all of that?
Well, I had worked, I finally got working in film, some TV, but trying to do I think, did a movie with John Candy, and I can't remember the name of the movie now. That's what happened. As I get older, I go blank on the name. I can't think of it. Anyway, I'd done a movie, and I had auditioned for a movie called Adventures in the Creep Zone with a Canadian director, producer, writer. And about 2 weeks into shooting, the studio fired the director. And Columbia Studios brought in Ivan Reitman to produce, and Harold Ramis was one of the writers to rework the script. It was with Peter Strauss and Molly Ringwald. It's called Space Hunter. It was in 3D, and we're shooting. So I did that movie, and the next year, I saw Ivan Reitman on an elevator. It just happened to run into him. And he told me he was doing this movie called Ghostbusters, but there wasn't anything in it for me. And he had Bill and Danny. I don't know who Bill and Danny was. I don't know, but after he said there was nothing in it for me, I'm like, okay, well, good luck with that. And then I found out that there was a part. They were seeing people. A lot of my friends sort of went in, but they kind of refused to see me because the role in Space Hunter was just a very different guy. He was sort of bigger than life, and my head was shaved. And that wouldn't have been the right character for Ghostbusters, and I think they thought I wouldn't. But I was trying so hard to convince everybody that I'm an actor. That was a role that wasn't, and Winston Zedmore is a different guy. And finally, after literally felt like 2 or 3 months, I got an audition, and I went in, and I think I kind of convinced them, but some reason I don't know who wasn't convinced, but they brought me back several times. It was very, and then finally I got the role, and but it was, yeah, it was, it wasn't like they just called me up and offered me the role. I mean, I think it felt like they were hoping if we could just find anybody else. But at the end of the day, I guess they went, well, we might as well go with him. And but I met the guys, Bill, Danny, Harold Ramis, and they were great. They've always been very cool with me. So yeah, but it was a challenge, getting the role, and Winston sort of finding his space within the group, because they've been together for years doing Saturday Night Live and some I think Second City. They'd worked together in Chicago, and they were like family. They knew each other. They had done a couple of films together, a few films together, and so I was kind of this outsider. I'd done some movies, but just kind of, so it was interesting. It was very interesting.
Awesome. So with your experience of kind of joining the gang with the guys that already know each other, did you have anything for the newer Ghostbusters, for the new cast? Any tips for them to kind of get into it?
Well, I think, the new cast, they're in a different place. I mean, Paul Rudd, I'm a fan. I love Paul. He's such a sweet guy. Really, he's like the nicest guy. I think he was voted sexiest man by People magazine a year or so back. And I go, I don't get that. And then knowing Paul, I go, oh, because he's so nice. Of course he's a sexy guy. Yeah, but the new cast, they're great. They're all very talented. And also as a dad, I have 4 sons. I've learned it's best not to offer advice unless somebody's asking. You know what I mean? People don't want to hear what you think, So sometimes you have to kind of watch a little bit, and if there's an opportunity, you kind of say, you know what, we can talk. And so if they're open to, but sometimes people who aren't secure, aren't open. But these guys are great. I mean, I learned from them. Celeste O'Connor, we were in a scene in my lab in the movie, and there was some issues, and I kind of approached Gil about it, and he was saying, well, he was telling me how he saw it. I didn't agree with that, but I felt like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's like, I don't agree with that, but we'll do it. And Celeste said, no, Ernie should be, and then she went through and explained to everybody, this is, and she was right. Of course, she was basically making my point for me. And I thought it was very interesting that she had to sort of stand up for me, and sometimes it works that way. Sometimes, we all look out for each other, but this is a great new cast. I love them all. If anytime somebody comes in and asks me, of course, I'm willing to help out. But if they're doing a great job and they're not asking, I'm not about to jump in and tell them what they ought to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And moving into a film that's in my top 25, top 10 is The Crow. My dad showed to me when I was 8 years old. I got in so much trouble for watching it. And it's something that I adore. And I think it's such a unique, quote unquote, superhero film.
Yeah. The Crow was great. Go ahead. You were going to say something else?
Yeah. I want to ask, I guess, again, how that come about and what was it like getting to work on something so different than a lot of films that have come out at that time and even now?
Yeah, The Crow was really special. I met Brandon Lee in Vancouver. He had just come over from China doing some movie. And he was a good friend of Miguel Ferraro, who passed a couple of years ago. But and so we got to know each other. And when he was doing The Crow, he kind of wanted me to, suggested me, I don't know, I can't say he asked me, but And so I met the director who I loved, Alex Price, and yeah, so it wasn't like Ghostbusters having an audition. Basically, I saw Alex Price reel, and Brandon was on it. Brandon and I, we both had kind of been working for a while in this industry and feeling a little frustrated. And finally, Brandon had got this was his film. He got a moment to, and he was in, I think, Showdown, Little Tokyo, and
Yeah.
other people's movies. But you know, it's very frustrating because you want a chance to show what you can do, and this was his opportunity, his starring role. And I think, had gotten a 3-picture deal with Paramount, and he was very excited about it. And but he was such a sweet guy because he was so inclusive. You know, Brandon wasn't one of those actors who kind of, you know, and I'll do it sometimes. Who lunchtime will go off to his trailer and eat by himself, and Brandon was there with everybody, you know, playing video games. It's really, really making everybody feel part of the show. So, and then the accident happened that I can't even understand to this day, and yeah, you know, I don't even know how to kind of. It still bothers me, you know, because he was really, really, and he was so talented, and I just thought he had such a great future. And I felt really, maybe a little bit, not angry, but later on, I came to realize that if that was going to happen, I'm thankful it happened in a movie like The Crow, because I think he got a chance to show really what his potential was. Because a lot of actors go through their entire career and they never get a chance to really sort of. So I'm in that sense, I feel good about it.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, it is such a different role of course, for Brenda, and sadly that accident happens, and
Yeah,
because it's so unique in the way they use poetry, Edgar Allan Poe, and all that gets used throughout the film. So
right.
it's something that really got to show off. And the best scene is still between you and him when oh my God, moving you're dead, and he says, "I'm dead and I move." And it's such a great line and great scene between the two of you. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm just a sucker for that whole gothic look, and it's just an awesome thing. And I think just the last question is a question that we ask every guest of ours. And
Sure.
if you could give yourself a younger you advice, or any upcoming actor or filmmaker, what would it be?
Just trust the universe. Trust, you know, if you show up and do what you know you should be doing. Most people know what they should be doing, but they're trying to find a way around it. You know, just keep the faith, keep showing up, keep giving your best, and don't just know it's all going to work out exactly the way it should. Just enjoy it, you know, and you don't have to worry about depending on anybody or anyone to do it for you. Any breaks that I've had in this business came from people I didn't even know. The people I thought would give me the break, they didn't show up, you know. But the universe has a way of guiding you if you just listen to. There's a part of you that I call your sort of common sense factor. You know, when you're doing something, but there's a part of you saying, "This is kind of stupid," you know, and we try to ignore that voice. Don't ignore that voice, because that's your guidance. And yeah, I think I really tried sometimes, and like, if this doesn't work out, the whole thing's going to fall apart. No, it's not. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And then the part of our show that everyone always seems to like is our recommendation of the week. So, Mr. Hudson, what is your recommendation of the week for our audience?
I think Shogun. I just
Okay.
started watching it, binging on it, but yeah, I'm enjoying it much better than I thought I would, and yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for coming on and talking to us. This was an honor for me and Ryan to get to sit down with you, being in some of our childhood movies, some of my favorite movies. And yeah, everyone go watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Thank you again, Ernie, for coming on the show. It was a real great time getting to talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, and we will see you all next week.